The Aboriginal Justice Agreement is a turning point in how the Northern Territory Government and Aboriginal people will work together to improve justice outcomes for Aboriginal people. The agreement is a genuine partnership that will create a fair and accessible justice system for all Territorians. It promotes strong leadership and a shared commitment to achieve change. Over 7 years, the agreement aims to reduce offending and imprisonment of Aboriginal people. It will engage and support Aboriginal leadership, and it will improve justice responses and services for Aboriginal Territorians. The agreement is the result of 3 years of listening to Aboriginal people's experiences of the Northern Territory justice system. During the consultations, Aboriginal people told us that they want support for leadership in their communities.
It's really sad, when adults carrying things weapon, it's really hard for teacher young kids, copying adults doing that, following them the wrong track. For me, I would like to teach my own kids or grandkids, teach the right way, the right path. That's what I want.
Aboriginal Territorians want to lead decisions on justice issues affecting their communities. Aboriginal Territorians want programs that are offered in the prison that work to be culturally relevant and to be available in their communities.
Well, I've been up and down prison for the last 2-3 years. I found it hard in prison, just away from my family, like my mother's side family, my sister, and all my support and everything. We only had access to not many programs in there.
They also want government agencies and contracted service providers to be culturally competent in the way they deliver services in Aboriginal communities.
The Aboriginal Justice Agreement is a significant step towards improving justice outcomes for Aboriginal communities in the Northern Territory. It will enable strategic planning in relation to criminal justice issues affecting Aboriginal communities, under which Aboriginal communities can develop their own community justice programs to deal with civil and minor criminal matters. Ultimately, the goal is the engagement and support of Aboriginal leadership to reduce reoffending and imprisonment rates for Aboriginal people.
What the Aboriginal Justice Agreements do is to help build leadership in the community so that the court can work together with community leaders to make the community a safe place for everyone.
All people who live in the NT want it to be a strong, safe, respectful place for their families, children and grandchildren. They want Aboriginal leaders to take back some authority and responsibility for important things in communities. It'll help make sure that respect and culture get stronger, grow back the respect, talk with one voice two ways.
The parties to the Northern Territory Aboriginal Justice Agreement commit to establish and offer alternatives to custody, establish community courts, reduce domestic and family violence offending, review and reform legislative provisions within the justice system that are unfair, discriminatory or detrimental to Aboriginal people. Expand community-based sentencing options and non-financial options for the payment of fines. Increase opportunities for prisoners to participate in high-quality programs to reduce reoffending.
It's turning a page. This is a breath of fresh air, We've been stuck for so long, going round and round in circles, doing a lot of work, chasing our tails, but not making the difference, not making life safer for people on communities. And it's interestingly, Anne, to talk to people today about things we were talking about 20 years ago, and it hasn't changed.
The Aboriginal Justice Agreement is a great platform to start the transformation of not only our justice system, but government and the way that Aboriginal people are equal partners.
What is absolutely instrumental in the Aboriginal Justice Agreement is that we will have communities front and centre that will know about these systems and be able to access them. And most importantly, we will be doing some work around racism in our institutions across the Territory, which will change the future for all people across the Territory.
I want you to be safe and I want you to come first, no matter where you live, on a community, in a homeland, right here in Darwin or down the track in Alice Springs. The Aboriginal Justice Agreement is about making the Territory a safer place for you.
The Aboriginal Justice Agreement demands and dictates a new way of doing business in the justice system. So join us on this journey to make the Northern Territory justice system fairer and more accessible for all Territorians. Join us today to make the Northern Territory a stronger and more attractive place for doing business, for tourism, for families and for everyone to live safely.
We've listened to Aboriginal Territorians. We have listened to Aboriginal communities who have told us what they need and what will work. Through law and justice groups, community courts and alternatives to custody, the Aboriginal Justice Agreement will mean that communities are part of the solution. It'll mean that our culture and our connection to country will be given the importance that it deserves. The Aboriginal Justice Agreement will mean that justice is served in the Territory. This is an important journey, and I ask that you walk beside us on the long road ahead towards a more just Territory for all.